being a mom. What I could use is a girls trip. But if you're married, can you still take a girls trip?
Do married women go on girls trips? No, we do not. No, we do not. No, we do not. We don't go on girls trips. We don't do that. We married. We don't go on girls trips. What we looking for? Who we checking for? What? Go and spend time with our friends? No, thank you. We can spend time right here in the city. Where you want to go? Olive Garden, Red Lobster. Where we going? Brunch, Target, Walmart. You pick. Out the country, no.
All right, we got Chanel Nicole Scott here, Queen of Relationship Talk, also one of the hosts of Kim Ministry on Fox Soul and the Relationship Matters podcast. Okay, you were making some faces looking at that video. So
I was like, that sounds like that's boring.
What did you think about that?
Oh my God.
Yeah. Is that a rule?
No, that's absolutely not a rule.
Same. I feel
Like,
the same.
married women need time away too to regroup and have some girl talk.
Yes.
Target, Red Lobster, are you serious?
It's not the same.
She's not painting a pretty picture at all.
Right? We can get away.
Yeah.
Just have our time.
Yes.
What about boys' trips? If a man is married, is it okay if he does a boys' trip as
Absolutely.
well? Okay.
He needs his time too away so that when he comes back, he misses me even more.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
You got my producer in my ear. Because she's a little biased. She says the girls' trips are okay.
Makes relationships seem so boring and mundane if you're saying we can't even go on a trip with our girls, with our guys. So we're just supposed to leave those relationships behind, no balance. Come on.
Right, yeah, and as you mentioned, it makes you miss your significant other more.
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, all right, so let's get into a little bit of the travel talk, because travel with your partner, it seems like it could make or break some things.
Good. Yeah, that is the opportunity where you're spending an extended amount of time with your partner or significant other. So you're getting to know different habits and things that you typically don't get to see when you just see each other for a few hours.
Yes.
So it definitely can be a make or break thing.
Okay, what are your thoughts if you are taking that first trip with your boo, but you want to make sure that you got the right mindset?
Yes.
Y'all aren't going to fight the whole time.
Correct.
Are there ways that you might prepare ahead of time?
Well, we need to plan the trip. We need to have a conversation before we even get there about what is it that you like doing.
Yes.
Right? Do we have these things in common? Or am I going to try something new because you like it and maybe I've never tried it, or maybe I don't like it, but we can come to a compromise and decide this is what we're going to do when we get there, so there are no surprises being sprung up on us.
Yes, that is a good point. Because what if one of you is like the chill, laid back, I just want to be in the hotel room service all day, and the other one is, let's do all the things.
And see, I'm the let's do all the things. I'm not a water person. I can only do the beach one day. We're not sitting on the beach every day of the trip. That's not going to happen.
All right. I don't know if we could take a trip together, Chanel. I need to relax, okay? So I know we got some singles out there as well.
Absolutely.
Have you ever, like, back in the day, maybe been on a trip and found you a little somebody?
You know what? I just went on a trip and met someone.
Oh, I'm loving this.
Yes, I met someone. I knew this gentleman in college, but I've been out of college for almost 30 years.
Okay.
So it was like getting to know someone all over again. And so that was quite interesting and refreshing, I must say.
Okay, all right. I'm feeling the chemistry as you talk about this. Okay, well, we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back with some more tips for traveling, whether you're single or just, maybe you're looking to mingle. Yeah, we'll be back. We're back with Chanel Scott. Okay, you were just telling me about meeting this gentleman while you were on a trip.
Yes.
Yeah, so what's the protocol? How does a relationship expert date?
She doesn't.
Okay.
So, I'm a avid believer to tap into purpose before you even considering dating. So that way, when you connect with someone, you have these similar goals, similar values in common.
Yes.
So I typically don't do the traditional dating, like going to a bar, going out, but I was at my college homecoming. this past weekend. Went on a trip to the city where I went to college, and I was out in the lobby of the hotel, and organically I just ended up beside a gentleman, and we striked up some conversation. He knew who I was. He knew the type of work that I do, and he had some questions for me about relationships.
Nice.
And as the conversation ensued, you know, I was like, oh, this guy is interesting.
Yes. Okay. I like your strategy there,
Yes.
getting into the purpose. You know, people are going to wonder, is there a timeline for that? Or how do we know when we've gotten to that point and we want to move on to dating?
The thing is I'm intentional about purpose. So I'm not intentional about dating, if you will. Now, if I connect with someone and have that genuine connection, of course, I'm going to be intentional about getting to know this individual if I'm interested. But the act of going out to the club, going to the bar, that's not something that I am intentional about. Because I believe that if I'm operating in my purpose, then I'm going to come in contact with different people at different times. And so it's more organic and providential, if you will.
I like that.
And so when you're meeting these people and you're in purpose, you're not even thinking about dating them. You're just connecting on something else, something that we have in common with. And as you have this conversation, then you're like, ooh, he's interesting.
Yeah.
I want to know more. And then you prolong the conversation like I did.
Okay, I like it. All right. So let's say y'all prolong the conversation enough times and y'all want to go on your first trip together.
Okay.
We talked about, you know, planning and preparing. Once you're on that trip, you know, as a couple, how do you make sure things continue to go smoothly? Because, you know, simple things can lead to arguments when you are out of your regular environment.
Absolutely. So we have this conversation before we even go on the trip.
Okay.
We need to sit down and decide what is it that you like to do, what is it that I like to do, and what is it that we're willing to try together, right? And so it may be something that you like to do that I've never tried, or maybe I have never taken interest in, but I'm agreeing like, hey, I'm willing to make the compromise because that's important in relationship. That can transpose into something else where I'm willing to compromise, and then that person can see, okay, you know, it doesn't always have to be about her, or it doesn't always have to be about him, but we can come together and make this decision together.
Okay, it sounds like compromise is key.
Oh, it's definitely key in relationships.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So when you're traveling and let's say you do, like something does get started, an argument, neither person is budging, and we don't want to spend the whole trip mad at each other. What's your recommendation for moving forward?
You have to decide what's important.
Okay.
Is it important for me to be right or to stand on business, or is it important to continue to grow and pursue this relationship? It all depends on you, what you want. Do you want to be right, or do you want this relationship? Right? Or is it that important to just not budge? You're on a trip, you're supposed to be having a good time.
Yeah.
I can't imagine what issue you would have that would make you say, you know what, I'm not budging. We out here and a million miles away from home, and I'm just going to be difficult.
Yeah.
No, you just decide what is important to you.
Right. Don't ruin it. Okay.
Don't ruin it.
If a couple's been together a long time or they're married, and you know they're taking the trip, but they're always together, do you recommend maybe some like solo adventure time at all? Is that allowed?
I think it's allowed. I think that if we have a level of trust and understanding, and we have communication about, like, you can't just be like, I'm out and I'll be back.
Peace. Going snorkeling.
No.
Okay.
We need to have a conversation, and then, you know, I think it's fine if you want to explore or go somewhere or do something. I may not even want to go. So, you know, I think that's okay as long as we have open, honest, and transparent, candid conversation.
All right. All right. Well, do you get a lot of people with kids? I talked a little bit about everyone myself. It changes the dynamic if you're a couple and you have kids that you're taking on a trip. You know, how do you make sure that you're getting that solo time, the couple time in?
Right. So it depends on the age of the children.
Okay.
Right? Are they sharing a room? You know, do they have this own room? Do I need to leave them at home with mama? Yeah, that's something we have to discuss.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because sometimes, you need it.
Yeah, you
like
need
the whole
that.
trip.
You need your time as a couple. First of all, you need time away from the children. Absolutely, because you still have to nurture the relationship. Right. So that's a conversation we have. Is this a children's trip where we're taking them to Disney and it's all about them, or do we need some time alone where we leave the children behind and you and I go?
Maybe we need to budget for 2 different trips in the year to make that happen. Okay, yeah, that's the time to reconnect. Well, thank you so much for those tips. Okay, guys, we'll be back with that recipe I told you about. Grandma went to Korea and brought you something back.